All right, so this is a suggestion VA channel member. Guys, let's check it out.
I have been called the parents of radical empathy. This is like from this magazine Semana. It's like if you're in America, the Time or the Newsweek of Columbia. So I'm a parent of empathy. That means I suppose, according to Anna anyway, I know something about it. So we're going to follow through with this. All right, man. Have you all ever had this thought? I think it would be really interesting to learn about this person or that person. What? Give me an example of it, just for you.
I mean, when I'm just sitting somewhere, if I see someone, I would just think that it would be nice to see something from their perspective more than just learn.
Just somebody.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind is, especially when you're driving on a road trip and you're just kind of watching other people's cars go by and you kind of look at somebody and their head's leaning on the window or they're having an animated conversation, just being like, what would it be like to be that person in that car?
That's cool. Or seeing the people whose houses butt up against the highway and, you kind of wonder, man, what would it be? I'm always thinking, what would it be like to live in that house? Or Faris, have you ever had this idea that you'd really like to refine your ability to just imagine what it would be like to be someone else? When you look at them and, you could just maybe come up with some random idea, but it'd be pretty cool if you got really good at your sociological skills and you had a pretty damn good idea about who they were and what they were doing and the kind of ideas they have. How about... Could you go with that?
I'm assuming you mean what if I switch lives with another
but I would never
person,
do that.
Imagining myself in their position?
Yeah, in their position, or being able to understand their position.
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is athletes. When you see they live their life in luxury, doing what we grew up doing as a hobby, but for them it's their job. I think it's one of the best daydreaming things that I go through.
So
I would say best, but most common.
Okay, so maybe but imagine if you met lots of athletes over the years, you could get pretty good at you could really refine your imagination. It wouldn't be just your imagination, but you would actually say, wow, I met this person, this person, this person, this person.
Yeah, guys, it's definitely fun to do something like this. I'm sure, have a thought experiment like this, at least when you're their age, right? But I think, as you get older, you age a little bit, you start to kind of look around a little bit differently, right? But I think that this is okay to foster an imagination-based, person, let's just say this here. But the real world will definitely put them back into their place almost immediately, unfortunately, I'd say. But it's a cool thought experiment, but I personally would not sit down and do this, right? Not really.
I think I have kind of an understanding of what it is. Would that be cool?
I mean, yeah, of course it would be. When you think about it on a deeper level rather than just surface, and you get to see their day-to-day life rather than just what's on media, I guess.
Yeah. Liam, how about you, man?
How would it be like to have had all of those years and have the knowledge that you have now? That's not something, I can try and attain it, but I'll probably never be in the position that you're in with the experiences that you've had.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I will tell you, it's cool, man. I've been doing this for my whole life, really, but 40 years in traveling the world and meeting people and the craziest people, man. Oh my God, the stories. The story of that photo that we took. I could tell you a story about taking that photo and what happened and oh my God, it's just cool. You refine your ability, okay? So listen, if you are a person who would say yes to these things, it would be really interesting to learn about X, Y, and Z people, and you'd really like to refine your ability. You'd like to be good at it, man. Okay. You know what I mean? Really good at it. You want to just get to be able to my age and be able to look at people and say oh yeah, I can have a pretty good understanding of who they are, even though you never fully know, but you.
That's moderately valid here then. Okay, because you're right. Because I literally look at people and immediately feel like I know exactly their entire story, generally, right? And that comes with a lot of the times age, dealing with people, and encountering different groups of people, etc.
Have it? Okay, well,
fair.
This is empathy. That's what empathy is, man. That's all it is, right there. That's all empathy is. It has nothing to do with sympathy. It doesn't mean that when you see someone, you imagine being them. That's like an athlete or something, or you feel good for them, or you feel bad for them, or you feel like you should be like them, or they should be like you, or none of that. You shouldn't be who you are. That you should be more like that. There's none of that. There are no shoulds.
Right.
Empathy is just understanding. That's it.
Like guys, like hold
It's
on,
not
hold on,
simple.
hold on. Like the idea of what he's saying is great, but I don't think that the overwhelming majority of people that utilize the word also utilize that definition. They think by default it is purely you need to feel sympathy exclusively for everyone's scenario. So understand that that seems to be the overall issue. I think with like utilizing the word and like listening to how people kind of define empathy themselves.
Empathy. You don't like. It doesn't mean you observe somebody. You know, like I look at our camera operators and I'm like, wow, what would it be like to be a camera operator in this room instead of me? And then I just imagine like, okay, so what would that be? It doesn't. There's nothing that I feel like has to be any different to be a camera operator. Nothing. It's just like, wow, that's really interesting. What would that be like? Okay. That's empathy, y'all, right? And the reason you all are here is because you have something to show us about empathy, each one of you. So here, let me go with the next slide. It's called a radical experiment in empathy because what I said was I walked people in 18 minutes. I walked the viewer through the place where they could look at those two men in that photo who were identified as like ISIS, radical Islamic terrorists who are trying to kill American soldiers and attack the United States and whatever they want to do. I wanted to get people to be able to get in their shoes and have some understanding of who they are. For no other reason than I think it's cool. Like, come on, man. Like, if you imagine that there's somebody out there who hates you and wants to kill you.
Right.
Wouldn't it be fascinating to know something like,
this.
wow, why do you hate me? Like, why do you want to kill me? Like, wouldn't you want to know? Like, wouldn't you want to know, bro? Would you want to know? You two of you want to know? Like, you want to have it? I mean, why wouldn't, of anybody who you want to know that? These guys, right? It's like, dudes, what the? So here's the interesting thing.
I mean, bro, semi-valid because, like, listen, I guess by default, you kind of want to know what their motives are in like hating the United States of America as much as they do. You want to know, then you find out. You go do your research, and then you're just like, yeah, but you still want to end my existence. So now what do we do here? We're kind of like in a cyclical kind of issue here. Yes, I get it. We are doing not amazing things. This is why you don't like us, basically. We get that, right? I specifically, personally, have nothing to do with it, but that guy over there in that house that's white specifically, right? He's the one that's deciding everything, bro, right? It's not really me. So when you do these crazy things, right? I no longer can care much about the reason why you don't like us or like me. Like, you know, it like literally doesn't matter. I get it. Trust me. I have the ability to critically think, right? But I'm not sure it matters much in the grand scheme of things to me personally, the reason why you're doing this, right? But
about that talk. People in the higher up in militaries, not just in the United States, but in other militaries around the world, reached out to me. Like generals and admirals and commanders, right? Commanding officers. They watched that talk, and they reached out to me, and they said, hey, can you come talk at my base, or can you come talk to my troop? We started working with NATO because special forces guys in NATO. These were special forces guys. These were like, the Rangers and these were like what would be like the bad. These are the people in the military who go out on secret missions and kill bad guys. Okay? Right. They're the ones who we make movies about, and you're like, I'm like, oh man, that person's a real badass. They're like, what you did in that talk is exactly what we try to teach all of our troops. Because if you don't know why it is that person's coming after you,
Right,
then
right.
you don't have any understanding. You can't have an understanding why you're doing what you're doing. But each one of them, as the years went on, each one would say, but it's harder and harder for enlisted personnel to understand that they gotta understand people like this, because they don't get it.
That's
Families
fair.
of enlisted personnel, I would get emails from people who'd be like, "Oh, you're an anti-American. You're an
No, I don't see that.
you like don't support our troops.
I
You
don't see
hate
that.
America. Why don't you just go to Russia or wherever? I don't know. They wanted to send me somewhere because I dared to do this
back
thought experiment
thought.
about
Okay.
empathy. But the commanding officers in the military,
Oh, yeah, they loved it.
were really appreciative and fascinated by it, and they use it, and people still use this talk to help try to train soldiers. Okay, so that's what I was doing in that. Okay, so here. It's a pretty cool quote. Learning about other people's stories, perspectives, and thoughts is valuable to me, especially those that differ from mine.
Yeah, I agree. Like completely. I think that's probably the most important thing because again, like the idea of an echo chamber like frustrates me. So when people are stuck like in like one single thought based off of whatever Facebook group that they're in or whatever specific news channels that they watch and things like this here, guys, it frustrates me because it's like, bro, you have to understand kind of, I guess it is empathy by default. Bro, well played. I like this guy, right? He makes me think, right? I like him a whole lot, bro. Right? I don't think he's any of the terrible things that sometimes he gets called all over the internet, bro. I'm telling you. I think he has the ability to kind of open people's minds in ways that people just do not want to be opened to anymore, guys, unfortunately.
That's Liam here. Liam wrote that. He wrote
Well
that
played,
in
bro.
his
Well played.
application to be a volunteer. Do you have the idea that you have to agree? When you think about doing that, do you also have the idea that you have to agree with them, or you have to be like them, or you have to
No,
support
not at
them, or
all.
you have to...
I'm still my own person. I still have my own opinions. I mean, they can like influence and like change that a bit, but if at the end of the day I still disagree with it, or if it's opinions, and I disagree with it, nothing's making me like become a whole different person because of it. Really, it's also about like the stories and perspectives, though. Like I like hearing about what other people have been through in other people's lives. Like that's could only possibly change my perspective and who I am in a positive way by like teaching me about what other people have gone through or other people's lessons and experience. That's kind of like the cultural brainstorming of society right there.
Okay, so here, go back one slide. So those two guys, they're radical Muslims in Iraq. They would hate you because you're Jewish, right? Does that make you even more curious about them, or is it like, does that influence the fact that they would hate me for sure, but they would also hate you?
If someone is going to come from a place of hate, it's not necessarily a natural thing for someone to have. There's going to be a reason behind
Yeah, it's
it.
generally like
No one
manufactured.
is just, it's not like an inherent, I see you, and for no arbitrary reason, just want to hate that person.
Yeah.
Like not even based on how they look or like anything about them, just they
Right,
exist.
Yeah.
I think that there has to be a reason for these people. There's something there, and it's something that went through their lives, their stories, their experiences, their interactions that has led them to be in the position that they are. And I think that knowing why that happened, how that happened, and then being able to like see in my life what other people have gone through when I'm talking to them, how they've gained hate, and then how I can like think of, okay, how can we change that a little bit? I think that like knowing what they went through can be a positive experience on that one.
Yeah, but even for your own self, man, because you must have you feel feelings of hate at some point too.
Of course, everyone does.
So, okay, go ahead, one slide. And you, the
I hate,
reason
like, three
that's really
things.
interesting for you is because, in particular, like your grandparents fled
No matter what.
fled
Yeah,
Europe.
They
and-
fled Europe during the Holocaust. Yeah.
during the Holocaust and went to Argentina. And then in the dirty wars, they got kicked out of Argentina and came where? To the U.S.?
Yeah, to Jersey.
Yeah, to Jersey.
Four
So, like,
things. Sorry.
you grew up with stories.
I have so many stories.
So, like, and you've been to Israel, and you've been around, you've traveled, like, you got stories. And, like, so it's not chance that you would write that I want to learn about people, man. I got the stories. This is my life.
I want to hear other people's.
You want to hear other people? Yeah. What is it? What is it about other people that really makes you?
I think that other people provide a different perspective onto the world. It's kind of like the parable of the blind scholars and the elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Our own perspectives are
played.
limited as to
great
the
call out.
reality of the world. Of course, the lives that we've lived bear true to what we've experienced, but our experience is only one part of the elephant. We can't really contribute to the idea of the whole if we're not willing to accept that other people's experiences and lives also contribute to the truth and reality of the world.
But what do you gain from that? What do you gain from learning other people's stories?
Compassion. I would say.
Apart from knowledge, I think it comes with a level of peace
Moderate compassion.
and a level of homogeny. Because if you don't understand the people around you and you're kind of very self-centered and self-minded, you tend to, the issues that you experience in your life tend to feel more severe than they actually are.
Yeah. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like
well.
in sociology, we talk about personal troubles and public issues. And personal troubles are the way we experience problems and things, they happen to us. But public issues they're happening to people all around us who are walking in shoes that are very similar to ours. How often do you have the experience about, learning about other people and kind of their perspective and their thoughts? Because I think Elon Musk, he misses something. His idea, I think he must be, unless he must be thinking that empathy requires you to be like the other person and to abandon who you are and to accept the other person and to accept all the things good and bad about the other person. He must be thinking that, or people like that must be thinking that.
Okay. That was an amazing talk on the idea of empathy. Let's say this here, right here, immediately, bro. I want to point out a couple of things here. I think when Elon Musk, I guess, thinks of the idea of empathy, I agree with what the professor here said. I think that it is kind of by default that, but Elon Musk always kind of came off to me as someone that is on the spectrum. Let's just say this here. I am on the spectrum. Empathy is not something that is baked into me immediately. It has to basically be chased. But if we do actually define it how it's supposed to be defined, then I guess by default, everyone kind of exists within some realm of empathy, but in how it's basically looked at these days, at least, or how it's referenced, or how it's, how it's, I guess, demanded by some people. Let's just say this here. It has nothing to do with just understanding someone else's issue. It seems like you have no empathy if you immediately do not side with the group of people specifically, or like thought process that is speaking. Let's just say this here. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies, and I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings, and we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry. Right? Listen, like and subscribe.